Hello friends, welcome again to the second lecture of our subject network analysis and synthesis. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the important method or the procedure for analyzing the circuits, that was the nodal analysis, and now we are going to start our discussion on the second method, that is your mesh analysis. What will be the contents of our this particular session? We will be discussing the concept of mesh analysis, then we will see few examples based on the mesh analysis, then we will discuss the concept of super mesh, and then we will discuss about the comparison between the nodal and the mesh analysis. So, nodal analysis, as we have discussed in our earlier lecture, it was a straightforward analysis in which we were assigning nodes to the different part of the portion of the network, and then we were applying there the KVL method, that is the Kirchhoff voltage law. Now, still nodal analysis is based on KCL, and at some point we may wonder if there is a similar approach based on KVL. So, the approach which is based on this application of Kirchhoff's voltage law is the mesh analysis, and strictly speaking it is applicable to planar circuits. Now, before starting with the discussion on the mesh analysis, we should understand the concept of planar circuit. So, if it is possible for us to draw the diagram of a circuit on a plane surface in such a way that no branch passes over or under any other branch, then that circuit is said to be a planar circuit. It means that if we are able to draw the particular circuit on our plane surface, and we observe that none of the branch crosses from top or bottom of the any other branch, then we say that the circuit is a planar circuit. So, the mesh is a property of a planar circuit, and it is undefined for a non-planar circuit. So, we have to keep in mind that whenever we are going for the analysis of a circuit using mesh method, then we have to first of all verify that the circuit which we are working is a planar circuit, and only then in that case we can apply the mesh analysis. So, we define a mesh as a loop which does not contain any other loops within it. It means that every mesh has one independent loop and no common loop should be present in between the meshes. Then quickly we go through the illustration part of this part. If a network is planar, mesh analysis can be used to accomplish the analysis. The techniques involve the concept of a mesh current, which we introduce by considering the analysis of the two mesh circuit as shown below. Now, in this given circuit, we are given that a circuit is given to us, in which we have to find out the currents flowing across the various elements of the network, that is the resistances 6 ohm, 4 ohm and 3 ohm, and the two voltage sources that we have taken here, 42 volt and the 10 volt. So, for our simplicity purpose, we apply that the current in this mesh is I1 and in this it is I2. So, we can designate this current in clockwise direction in this way, and in this way. So, we are assuming that in this particular part it is current is I1 and in this current it is I2. So, these are the two currents, mesh currents, which we have labeled in our circuit, and this 3 ohm resistance is common to both mesh 1 as well as mesh 2. So, now we have to identify the magnitude of current in particular through this resistance. So, if we look at the current I1 in this 3 ohm resistance, it is moving from top to bottom, that is in downward direction, and the current I2 is moving in upward direction, that is. So, this is current I1 in 3 ohm resistance and this is current I2 in 3 ohm resistance. So, if we are moving in clockwise direction, that is in downward direction, then the net current flowing in this 3 ohm resistance is I1 minus I2. So, now we apply KVL in this loop, that is in a closed loop, that sum of voltages, the algebraic sum of all the voltages is always 0. So, we are moving in clockwise direction. So, in this resistance the direction of current will be from this will be our positive and this will be negative, this will be plus, this will be minus, and this will be plus and this will be minus. Similarly, in this loop when we are moving, then this current I 2 is moving in this direction. So, this will be positive, this will be negative, and in this direction then this will be positive and this will be negative. So, when we try to write down this equation, so we have first equation, when we move in this loop in clockwise direction, we first encounter this voltage source of 42 volt. Okay. So, and this voltage source we are moving from negative to positive, and when we are moving, we consider, suppose this is minus 42 volt. Then next element that we encounter in this movement is the resistance of 6 ohm, and in this direction we are moving from plus to minus. So, this becomes plus 6 I 1. Then again we move in the further in this loop, then we encounter a 3 ohm resistance, and we observe that this is positive and this is negative. So, this becomes plus 3 I 1 minus I 2. Okay. And the sum of all these voltages must be 0 according to the Kirchhoff's voltage law. Therefore, what we obtain is the equation which we have written here, that is 6 I 1 plus 3 I 1 minus I 2 equals to 42, which on simplification gives us the first equation, that is 9 I 1 minus 3 I 2 equals to 42. Similarly, in the second loop, when we apply the KVL, when we move along this direction, so we have the current voltage, the first element that we encounter is a 4 ohm resistance, and in this 4 ohm resistance this is plus and this is minus. Now, when we are moving in this, the next element that we encounter is a voltage source of 10 volt, and in this we have direction minus 10 volt. Okay. And then in this we have moving in this direction. So, it becomes plus 3, this is plus minus 3 I 2 minus I 1 equals to 0, plus 3 I 2 minus I 1 equals to 0. So, on simplification this equation becomes 3 I 2 4 I 2 plus 3 I 2 minus 3 I 1 equals to 10 volt, or finally, we get the equation which we have obtained over here, that is minus 3 I 1 in this. So, when we solve these two equations, we get the value of the two mesh currents. I 1 is 6 ampere and I 2 is 4 ampere, and the current which is flowing through this 3 ohm resistance, that is I 1 minus I 2, comes out to be 2 ampere. So, if our circuit contains m meshes, then we expect to have m mesh currents, and therefore, we will be required to write m independent equation, and therefore, we define a mesh current as a current that flows only around the parameter of the mesh. That is, we are considering this, suppose we are defining this particular as a mesh, then this total current I 1 will be moving around this parameter or the periphery of this circuit. Then one of the greatest advantage in the use of mesh current is the fact that Kirchhoff's current law is automatically satisfied. So, this is the important point, that when we are applying mesh currents, dealing with the mesh currents or the mesh analysis, then automatically the KCL is being applied, is being satisfied. If a mesh current flows into the given node, it flows out of it also. So, you can see here any particular node, if we consider any node, then at particular instant at any point, if a current is entering at that particular node, then it will be also moving out from that particular node. Now, let us take up a simple problem based on this concept of mesh analysis. We have to find out the power delivered by the 2 volt source of the figure shown in the figure. That is, we have to find out the power delivered by this source. So, we know that the equation we want to determine the power delivered by this source P. So, this will be given by the magnitude of this voltage source multiplied by the current flowing across this. That is, using the relationship P equals to V I, we can find out the power delivered by this load. So, now what we have done is we have identified two meshes, one consisting of this particular section and one considering of this section, and in this we have considered that the current is flowing in the clockwise direction. So, we define two clockwise mesh currents as shown in the figure. Okay. So, if we try to write down the equations for this, so if we try to observe the current, then the current through this plus minus, it will be current I 1, and in this direction it will be current I 2, and this will be okay. So, this will be plus and this will be minus. Okay. So, now when we try to write down the KVL for this, so begin at the bottom left part node of the mesh 1, we write down the KVL equation and we proceed clockwise through the branches, and we obtain the equation 4 I 1 plus 2 I 1 minus I 2 equals to 7. Okay. This is 5, these two add up, and this we get the equation 6 I 1 minus 2 I 2 equals to 7. Similarly, from the mesh 2 we get this equation this, and finally, we solving these two equations we get this value. So, the net current which is flowing from top to bottom in this is I 1 minus I 2, and hence the power delivered by this will be 2.48 watt. Then simple problem which we can practice at home, we have to determine the two currents I 1 and I 2. Now, the simplicity of this is that this combination of two 5 ohm resistance can be replaced by a single 10 ohm resistance. This network can be simplified by removing the series combination of two 5 ohm resistance by a single 10 ohm resistance. So, we directly write down the two equations for the network, and we will get this equation 6 volt minus 6 volt plus 14 I 1 plus 10 I 1 minus I 2 equals to 0. One equation we will obtain this from mesh 1, this is the equation that we will obtain from mesh 1, and similarly when we apply KVL in mesh 2, we get the equation again 10 I 2 minus 5 volt plus 5 volt, then plus 10 I 2 minus I 1 equals to 0. So, using these two equations we can solve, and we will find out the value of I 1 and I 2. Now, in this problem we have a 3 mesh problem. So, we will individually write 3 equations connecting I 1, I 2 and I 3, and we will solve these equations to find out the mesh currents I 1, I 2 and I 3. Similarly, in the same way we can solve this problem which has been given for you as a practice problem. So, you can write mesh 1 equation, mesh 2 equation and mesh 3 equations, and you can find out the currents. Then in this particular problem we have a dependent source. Now, if we look at this particular problem, this problem contains a dependent source of dependent voltage source, and the magnitude of this dependent voltage source is 4 I 1, where I 1 is the current flowing in the second part or the right part of this left part of this mesh. Okay. So, we have to write down these two equations for this, and the equation, the current I 1 is actually a mesh current. So, rather than redefining it, we label the rightmost mesh current I 1 and define a clockwise mesh current I 2 for the left mesh as shown in this figure. So, again we write down KVL for the two meshes and solve these equations to get the value of current I 1 as minus 250 milliampere and I 2 equals to 375 milliampere. Since the dependent source in the above problem is controlled by a mesh current, only two equations were required to analyze the circuit. Now, in the next example, what we will is explore the situation when the controlling variable is not a mesh current. So, in this particular problem, we are given a dependent source, and this dependent source has a magnitude of 2 Vx and this V x is nothing but the voltage across this 4 ohm resistance. So, we require one additional equation to determine the value of this dependent variable V x, and then two equations we can obtain by writing the mesh current. So, directly if you look at this circuit, so we can see that V x is the potential drop across this 4 ohm resistance. So, we have V x equals to the potential across the 4 ohm resistance. V x is nothing but the potential across the 4 ohm resistance, and this can be considered as the value of this resistance, that is 4 ohm multiplied by the current through this. So, if I 1 is the current in this mesh 2 and I 2 is the current in mesh 1. So, net current in this mesh will be 4 times I 1 minus I 2. So, we have one equation that will be used by us, that is V x equals to 4 I 1 minus I 2. So, this is how we write down the equation, and we get these equations and we solve these equations to find out the value of I 1 and I 2, and I 1 comes out to 1.25 and I 2 comes out to be 2.625, and finally, these are the results. So, in next problem we have to find out the current I 1 in the circuit shown in the figure if the controlling quantity A is 2 I 2 and 2 V 2. So, in this particular problem, if we try to look at this controlling source A, this is our controlling source A. So, now in first case it is given to us that the value of A is 2 I 2, the value of A is 2 I 2, and this I 2 is the current which is flowing in mesh 2. I 2 is the current which is flowing in mesh 2. Okay. So, we have to write down this equation in terms of this expression. So, this means that this is our voltage, this is our voltage source, dependent voltage source, which is dependent upon this current I 2. Similarly, in second part we have given that the controlling quantity A is 2 V x, where V x is the potential drop across the 5 ohm resistance. So, again in this case we have a voltage source which is a voltage dependent source. So, we can solve these two equations for I 1 and I 2 and find out the currents in this problem. So, quickly recap of the mesh analysis. First of all, it should be required the first important part for mesh analysis, that is the circuit which we are working with should be a planar circuit, and if it is not a planar circuit, then we go for nodal analysis. Then we count the number of meshes and then redraw the circuit if necessary, then label each of the mesh currents. Then we write down KVL equation around each mesh beginning with the convenient node and proceed in the direction of mesh. Then we express any additional unknowns such as voltage or current other than mesh current in terms of appropriate mesh currents, and this will be applicable in case we have dependent current sources or dependent voltage sources. Then we rearrange the equations, solve those system of equations, and we will find out what is required in the problem. Now, what happens if we move on to the next part, that is the super mesh analysis. How must we modify the straightforward procedure when a current source is present in the network? Now, as we have discussed about the concept of super node, where if between two nodes a voltage source was present, we mark those combination of nodes at super node. In the similar manner, if along a mesh we have a common current source between the mesh, then we will directly write down this as the super mesh. Taking our lead from nodal analysis, we should feel that there are two possible methods. First, we can assign an unknown voltage across the current source, then we apply KVL around each mesh as before, and then rate the current source to the assigned mesh currents. This is the more difficult approach. So, what we have to do is we have to first of all write down, try to find out the voltage drop across that current source, so that we can apply KVL in that part, and then once KVL is applicable, we can go for the analysis part, but that will be a more tedious and more difficult approach. So, a better technique is that we quite similar to the supernode approach in as we have done for nodal analysis. There we formed a supernode completely enclosing the voltage source inside the supernode and reducing the number of non-reference node by 1 for each voltage. So, this is how we form a super mesh. So, in this particular problem we have to we are given a current source of magnitude 7 ampere, which is present commonly between mesh 1 and mesh 2. So, this is mesh 1 and this is mesh 2. So, this will be considered as a super mesh, and directly we can write down the equation for this, that is I 1 minus I 3 equals to 7 ampere, and then we can go for the analysis part by writing down the mesh equations. So, this is again the summary that in sum of our mesh, apart from the points that we have discussed in the mesh analysis, first of all the circuit should be planar, then we have to count the number of, then we find out if there is a current source in between or the common between a mesh, then we form a super mesh to enclose both the meshes. Then we write down KVL around each super mesh, and then we relate the currents from each current source to a mesh current, and then finally we try to find out if there are additional unknowns, that is voltage or current around that mesh, so that we can write down in we can express them in terms of appropriate mesh currents. Then finally, we organize the equations and solve those system of equations to obtain the mesh currents. Now, a comparison between since we have studied the two methods, now we try to compare the node analysis and the mesh analysis. Now, if we quickly go for the analysis of the two methods that we have discussed, then directly we can say that if we are going for the analysis of a non-planar circuit, then obviously nodal analysis will be the best method, else the method applicable will be the mesh analysis. So, if we have to go for nodal analysis, then we have to identify n nodes, which leads to n minus 1 KCL equations, and each super node will define or will further reduce this number by 1. That is, if we are able to find out a super node in our network, then we have to solve at least n minus 2 KCL equations. Similarly, if the circuit has m distinct meshes, then we will obtain at most m KVL equations, and similarly in the same manner each super mesh will reduce the number by 1. Based on these facts, we should select the appropriate method that will result in a smaller number of simultaneous equations. Now, it is on our choice that whether we are going for mesh analysis or nodal analysis, depending upon how many number of simultaneous equations we have to solve. So, if one method gives us 4 equations for solving and another method gives us 3 equations for solving, then we will obviously proceed for that method which gives us 3 simultaneous equations to solve. Similarly, if one or more dependent sources are included in the circuit, then each controlling quantity may affect our choice of nodal or mesh analysis. So, if our dependent source is a voltage source, then we will go for nodal analysis, and if the dependent source is a current source, we go for a mesh analysis. A dependent voltage source controlled by the nodal voltage does not require an additional equation when we perform nodal analysis. A dependent current source controlled by a mesh current does not require an additional equation when we perform mesh analysis. If the controlling quantity can be easily related to a mesh current, mesh analysis is to be the most straightforward option. So, if you see that if in case of a controlling or the dependent part which is easily controlled by the mesh current, then our most appropriate approach must be the mesh analysis. So, the 2 points, that is, if our network contains a dependent voltage source which is controlled by a nodal voltage, then it is obviously that we will go for nodal analysis, and if we have a dependent current source present in our network which is controlled by mesh current, we have to go for mesh analysis. And we have discussed certain points. Now, moving further ahead, you observe that if we are analyzing any particular network in which we come to analyze the network which contains some dependent sources, and the controlling quantity for that voltage source or the current source can be related to nodal voltage, then we perform the nodal analysis. Now, similarly, as we have discussed in the previous slide, that if the controlling quantity can be easily related to mesh current, then mesh analysis to be performed. So, quickly going through this part, we go slightly back to this particular example, where we have seen that in this particular example, we were to find out the current I 1 in the circuit shown in this figure 1, if the controlling quantity is 2 I 2 and 2 V x. So, V x, now in this case the controlling quantity I 2 is the mesh current. So, we are going for mesh analysis, but since in this case V x is the voltage across this node. So, we can prefer nodal analysis, but we can go for the both, we can use both the methods, that is the mesh analysis as well as the nodal analysis. So, there is no strict rule which tells us whether we are going for mesh analysis or nodal analysis. So, it's all depends on our analysis method, that which one is better for us, that we cannot decide. So, we have to be very sure that only in that particular condition we will be going for mesh analysis or nodal analysis if we are experiencing a dependent source or a dependent source. Now, in case of dependent voltage source, which is controlled by a nodal voltage, we does not require any additional. It means that it will simplify our process and we are left with only one less equation if we go for nodal analysis. So, this thing we have to keep in mind, that if we are encountering or if we are going to analyze any network which contains a dependent voltage source, and that dependent voltage source is controlled by some nodal voltage, then we does not require any nodal additional equation for if we are going for to solve that particular network using nodal analysis. Similarly, in case we have a network which contains a dependent source, and in that case of dependent current source, the current is controlled by some mesh current, then we does not require any additional equation if we are performing the same analysis using mesh method. So, we have to be very cautious in selecting whether we are going to apply mesh analysis or nodal analysis. So, we have to be keeping in mind certain points before proceeding for nodal analysis or mesh analysis. So, the next 2 points which we are discussing are very important, because in that case we can easily correlate whether we are to go for mesh analysis or we are to go for nodal analysis. So, this point says that if the controlling quantity can be easily related to mesh current. So, if we have as we have seen in the previous example, where the controlling quantity A was depending upon that current which was the mesh current. So, it is most feasible for us to go for mesh analysis. In the second part of the same example, we have seen that the controlling quantity can be easily related to the node voltage, that is V x was the voltage at the node voltage. So, we will prefer node analysis, and the final point is that the current sources which are present in the periphery of the mesh, whether dependent or independent, are easily treated in mesh analysis, and similarly the voltage sources which are connected to the reference terminal can be easily treated in the nodal analysis. So, we have to keep this thing in mind, that if we have encounter a network in which the current sources are present on the parameter of the mesh, whether dependent or independent, then we will be easily treating them in mesh analysis. And similarly, if we have voltage sources which are connected to the reference terminal, that is one terminal of the voltage source is connected to ground, then we will be easily going for the nodal analysis. And as we can see that nodal analysis results in the calculation of nodal voltages, whereas mesh analysis provides current, but it is not necessary. By using mesh current analysis we can find out nodal voltages, or vice versa, that is if we have determined the nodal voltages we can find out the mesh currents. So, in today's lecture we have discussed about the mesh analysis and the method for analyzing the circuits using KVL. So, in our next lecture we will be starting our discussion on source transformation and duality. That is all for today. Thank you.